Hello and welcome to Professor Pincushion. In this tutorial we're going to be making McCall's 6754 and we're going to be focusing on this lovely dress which is view B. Make sure you pick up the right size and it's listed on the front of the envelope right here on the side. Let's take a quick look at an example of the dress we'll be making. This dress has a close-fitting bodice with a scoop neckline and a full circle skirt. It also uses knit lace for an overlay and has an underlining. The waistline is elasticized for a fun yet comfortable dress. Because retail sizing and pattern sizing are different, it's very important that you take your measurements so you can pick out the right size to cut out. You're going to find the body measurement chart located on the top flap of the envelope, and you can see the sizes listed here on the top. The first thing you want to do is take the measurement of your bust, waist, and hip, and this top part is all in inches. We have centimeters down here. And then you're going to find the column that best suits you, and then that's going to tell you what size you need to cut out. Let's look at the back of the pattern envelope now. So you can see they suggest that we use a medium weight 2-way stretch knit, and this is very important. If you use a fabric that is not stretchy, like a woven fabric, you're going to have a difficult time even getting the dress or shirt on. It's because there's no fasteners of any kind like a zipper. So they're saying you should use these type of fabrics for the dress. You should use a lace knit, and then you have an underlining of tricot. Now the lace knit is because they're utilizing a lace overlay to give this a certain look, and then there's going to be an underlining underneath the lace. Also, we need notions. Not only do you need a matching thread, but you also need 1.5 yards of 1/4 inch elastic. Once you have your supplies, we can then figure out how much fabric you're going to need. You'll see the views over here on the side, and again we're doing dress B, so they've broken it out to fabric and then underlining. So you can figure out how much you need of each one of these. You just need to find your size and go down the column until you're in the appropriate row. So for fabric, for 60-inch width fabric, I'm going to need 1 3/4 yards of my lace knit, and then for the underlining, I'm also going to need 1 3/4 yards. On page 1 of the directions, you're going to see a diagram like this, and this is showing you the pattern pieces that are located in our envelope. So we need to figure out which pieces we need to cut out for our view. And again, I'm doing view B, so if I look down here at the list here, you're going to see front AB. So all the letters that are behind whatever the pattern piece is, that is going to be for this particular view. So this would be for view A and view B, and since I'm cutting out dress B, I would need to cut out piece number 1, and this 1 relates back up to the same number 1 that's up here. So this piece would be the bodice front. So I would just make a check mark next to each one that has my letter. So for B, I would cut out piece 1, 2. You'll see down here, skirt back and skirt front doesn't have a letter, so that means it's for all of them. So 1, 2, 7, 8, and then 9, which is our guide for our elastic. Now you'll notice up here, piece 7, you'll see a line and it says AC, and then there's another line down here and it says BD. This means you cut on this top line here if you were doing the shirt, which is top A and C, or if you're doing the dress, you're going to cut on this bottom line down here. This is the skirt piece. So they're just using the same piece, piece 7, for all views, but you just cut on a different line. All the sizes in this envelope use the same pattern pieces. You just have to make sure that you cut out your correct size. So sometimes you'll be looking at a pattern piece and you'll see a series of lines. You can see it here and you can see it up here. Each one of these lines represent a different size. So I just need to find mine, which is medium, and then I'm going to cut out on the line that's right above the M for medium. The same thing over here. Now if it's just a single solid line with no sizes attached to it, that means it's for all sizes. You also want to make sure that you cut out your notches, and the notches look like this. So here you can see I have medium, small, extra small. I just need to do the one for the medium, and you can see I cut a little outward notch like this one. Sometimes you'll have double notches, which will be 2 of these side by side. So usually I'll cut outward and then I'll just flatten the top. So I know a double notch from a single notch. Also, if you have a notch and there's no size associated with it, again, that means it's for all sizes. After you cut out your pattern pieces, we're then going to look at the layout instruction. So this is how they suggest you lay out your pattern pieces in order to make the most of your fabric. And luckily, out of our main fabric, we only need to cut out 4 pieces, 1, 2, 7, and 8. And you'll see that the fabric is folded in half. We have a fold on this side and then the salvage is on this side. Usually I have the right side of the fabric on the inside of the fold. It's very important that you cut out piece 1 and 8 on the fold line. So it's directly right on that fold line. It'll actually say on the pattern piece, center front on fold. So they're telling you which side you need to place on the fold. Then you're going to cut out on all the sides, not the one that's on the fold here. So when you open up your fabric piece, it'll be twice the size of the pattern. 7 and 2 do not need to be cut on the fold. So you'll end up with 2 pieces of 2 and 2 pieces of 7. After we cut it out of our fabric, you're then also going to have to cut it out of the underlining, which you can see up here, underlining B, and it's the same setup as before, exactly the same. After you cut out your fabric pieces, but before you remove your pattern pieces from your fabric, it's very important to transfer any marks from the pattern piece to your fabric piece, such as the dart that you see right here, because this is going to come into play when we start putting it together. So what I like to do is, if this was still attached to my fabric, and really you only need to do it to your underlining fabric, you don't need to do it to the lace. I like to do it to the wrong side of the fabric. I put a straight pin through the mark that I want to transfer, and then I just flip it over to my fabric and I just mark where my straight pin is coming out. And I'm just going to do this all along the top here and on this other side, and then draw a connecting line once I have enough dots to make a connection. You may have other marks, such as these triangles up here. Again, they're separated by size, so you would only need to do the one for your size. This is going to help us when we're placing our pieces together. In my last bit of prepping, I always like to look at the sewing information guide. So this is going to tell us what our seam allowance is going to be. In this situation, it's going to be 5/8 of an inch. So if they tell us just to sew a seam, we always assume it's 5/8 of an inch. They'll state something different in the directions if they want us to do something different. Also, I like to look at the fabric key. So this is going to tell us how to read the pictures that go with the directions. If it's shaded, that means you're looking at the right side of something. And if it's white, that means we're looking at the wrong side of the piece or the garment. We don't have to worry about interfacing in this. So if I flip this over to the directions on the other side, here's an example of the picture. So we're looking at the wrong side of this garment or piece. And then here you can see a little bit of shaded, so that's the right side of the pieces. So in this particular picture, they're showing us that the pieces go right side together. For dress B, we're going to be starting with step number 1. So what I'm going to be doing in this tutorial is reading the directions and then demonstrating what you need to do for that particular step. Step 1. We're going to flat surface pin right side of underlining sections to wrong side of each matching fabric sections. Baste through all symbols and all lines of construction as shown, leaving both ends of thread free for easy removal. All you're going to do is you're going to take each one of your underlining pieces and you're going to match it up with the matching fabric pieces. So for example, this is my bodice front underlining. I have it right side facing up. I'm going to grab the bodice front number 1 piece of my lining and I'm going to lay it directly on top, and this is also right side facing up. So when I'm looking at my lace from the right side, through the lace, I'm also looking at the right side of the underlining. And I'm just going to lay it directly on top so everything matches up. You want all your notches to match up, all your corners to match up. Make sure you don't have any major wrinkles. And once everything is lined up, you're going to pin around the whole perimeter of the piece. And again, you're doing this for all 4 pieces. So the 2 bodice sections and the 2 skirt sections. And what we're going to be doing is basting these 2 pieces together, so when we move forward with the rest of the directions, we're treating this as one single piece instead of 2 separate pieces. It just makes it a lot easier because it's already attached. So what we're going to be doing once it's pinned, you're going to take it to your machine because we're going to baste the pieces together, but you're going to do each side separately. So I will sew this one down here, then I'm going to cut my threads, And then I'm going to start this side here down at the bottom. Cut my threads again, do this side, same thing. So for each section, you're doing it individually, and we're going to be doing a basting stitch that's 5/8 of an inch away from the edge. And you're doing it again for all 4 pieces. Now this one is kind of unique in that it has a dart right here, which you can see if you were to flip this over to the wrong side of my tricot. You can't see it in this because we're too far away. But I'm also going to be, after I baste all the way around, wherever I have a dart marked onto my fabric, I'm also going to stitch along that line. So I would do it on this side, and then I should have another one on this side because it's folded in half, so there's 2 darts on this piece. Your basting stitch is going to be the largest stitch on your machine. You don't have to worry about doing any back stitching because we'll eventually remove these stitches. Again, they're just to hold these 2 pieces together. So I finished sewing around all my pieces, and here's one of my darts, and you can see I basted one side and then I did this other side separately. So I have 2 threads hanging here. So we're going to just move on to step number 2. So step 2, stitch darts in bodice front, press darts towards center. So you're only doing this on the number 1 piece, which is the bodice front, and we have 2 darts at the bottom that look just like this. All you're going to do is you're going to make sure the wrong side is facing up, and you're going to take this section and you're going to fold it in half. This whole dart's going to get folded in half. And I'm trying to match up this line with this line on this side. And my trick for doing this, let me grab my straight pins, is I go through one side, just straight through right at my stitching line, and then I flip it over and I see how close I am. Here's my pin right here, so I just need to adjust it a little bit. And then I try it again. And just keep doing it until you get them to line up. And then once you do, you're just going to pin all along this section, and you're making sure that when you place your pins in, you're placing them in so the pin is going perpendicular to the top fold line of the dart. Once this is all pinned up for both darts, we're then going to go to the machine and we're going to stitch right on our basting stitch on one side, and that's going to create our dart. When sewing the dart, I usually like to start at the widest point of the dart, and don't forget to do a couple of back stitches. And then you're just doing a regular lane stitch, just a regular normal straight stitch. And I'm going right on top of that basting stitch, and I'm sewing towards the point or the end of the dart. And when I get to that point, I'm not going to actually do a back stitch, but instead I'm going to just sew right off the fabric, and then we'll end up doing, we'll just hand tie a knot. Make sure to leave the tail end of your threads long so you're able to hand tie your knot. So all I'm going to do is take this, create a loop, and bring the end through the loop. And then I'm just going to try to make sure that this knot ends up as close to the fabric as I can. And the reason why we do this is if you just do a back stitch, sometimes you end up with a little bubble at the end of the dart, and we don't want that. So I'm just gently pulling it, trying to get the knot as close as I can to the fabric, and then you can just cut it off. Then you're going to take both of your darts and you're going to press them so they're going towards the center of the bodice. Step 3, stitch bodice back sections together at center back. We're now going to be working with piece number 2, so this is the bodice back section, of which you should have cut 2 out of both your lace and your underlining and stitch those pieces together. You'll notice on one side here we have a triple notch, so these are 3 notches together. Now this area here is going to be the center back area, and this is what we're going to be stitching right now. So I already have one of my pieces right side facing up. I'm going to grab my other piece and put it right on top of it, right sides together. And all I need to do is match up this section here. So I'm making sure that the bottom, the top, and the triple notch matches. Also the raw edges match as well. You're going to pin this section and we're going to go ahead and stitch our 5/8 seam allowance. In doing my seam, I'm going to make sure that I always backstitch both beginning and end of the stitch. And I'm just doing a regular straight stitch. When I finish doing my seam, I'm going to go ahead and press my seams open. Step 4, stitch bodice back to bodice front at shoulders and sides. This is my bodice front. I have it right side up. I'm going to grab the back and place it so there'll be right sides together. You're going to match up the sides, so this side over here, making sure that your notches, raw edges, and top and bottom are matching. And then you're going to do the same thing up here at the shoulder. So we have a single notch. I'm going to make sure the ends match, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You're going to pin all 4 of these sides. So side, shoulder, shoulder, side. You're going to pin and you're going to stitch your 5/8 seam allowance, and don't forget to press your seams open. Step 5, make 5/8 of an inch narrow hem at neck and armhole edges as shown. We're going to be finishing the neckline and the 2 armhole edges, so we won't have this raw edge. Now I'm going to be doing this at the neckline, this side, and this side, but I'm going to get in a little closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Make sure your bodice is wrong side out, and you're going to be taking the raw edge of each of these sections, and you're going to fold from right side to wrong side 5/8 of an inch. Now if you did your basting stitch at 5/8 of an inch, you don't even need to use your sewing gauge to measure it. You just make sure that your stitching or your basting line is right on that fold line, and that should mark the 5/8 line. So I'm just going to stick in a pin when I have it. And I'm going to do this around the whole neckline. And once everything is pinned up, go ahead and press it, because we want to have a nice clean fold line right up here at the top. So I actually already started this on one of my armholes, because I'm going to show you what the next step is after that. So let me just move this down. So here's an armhole, and I already pressed it. The next step is you're going to take this raw edge and you're going to fold it under to meet the fold line right down here. So I'm just going to take this, tuck it in. So now we have a fold line here and a fold up at the top here. So there are no raw edges, and it's going to look really nice and neat. Once it's folded, I'm going to go ahead and replace my straight pin. And I'm going to do that around the whole thing, because the next step is we're going to take it to our machine and we're going to stitch right along that top fold line there. So then our narrow hem will be complete and we'll have a nice finished armhole and neckline. Here's a little bit of a closer look. You can see I'm going to be stitching right on this top fold line here, being careful not to actually go over to my underlining side, because I want to make sure that this is going to stay down. Now I'm just using a regular straight stitch and just pretty much going at a slow pace, because I want to make sure that I stay where I need to be. Step 16, stitch skirt back sections together at center back. Now we're moving on to the skirt portion of our dress. So we're going to be working with piece number 7, which is a skirt back. And you'll notice on the side, we have one side that has a triple notch, and then on the other side, we have a double notch. The side with the triple notch is going to be the center back seam. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my pattern. And I'm going to take my other piece, this is right side up, and take my other piece and lay it right on top, matching everything. And I'm just pinning and stitching my 5/8 seam allowance on the side that has the triple notch. Step 17, stitch skirt front to skirt back at sides. We're now going to be stitching all our skirt pieces together. So you're going to need your other skirt piece, which is the skirt front piece number 8. And this is the one that needed to be cut on the fold. You'll see a flat side up here with a double notch. This is a side. I also have one on the other side as well. And this is what we're going to match up to our skirt back pieces. So let's go ahead and get rid of the pattern. I have my skirt right side facing up. I'm going to grab the skirt back and lay it right on top, right sides together. And we're just going to line everything up. With your sides pinned together, go ahead and stitch your 5/8 seam allowance and don't forget to press your seams open. Step 18, with right sides together, pin skirt to bodice, matching centers and side seams. Stitch. You have your skirt wrong side out still, and this is the top of my skirt, so all I'm going to be doing is putting my bodice through the opening at the top of the skirt. My bodice is right side out. I'm going to put it through my skirt, the top or the strap part first, so the bottom of the bodice is going to line up with the top of the skirt. Stick everything in there. Now you'll notice in your skirt you have single notches here in the front of the skirt, so I'm going to match that up with my bodice as well. So the skirt front is matching the bodice front. And I should have another one over here. So here's a single notch, and you're making sure that the raw edges line up. You're also going to make sure that your side seams of your skirt matches the side seams of your bodice. And you can see they're right sides together. And I would do the same thing on this side, and then we have the center back seam should also match up. So after you have it pinned all the way around, you're going to go ahead and stitch your 5/8 seam allowance. Step 19, to form casing for elastic, stitch waist seam allowances together 1/4 inch from the raw edge, leaving an opening and keeping garment free. We're going to be creating a casing right along the waistline of our dress in order to stick our elastic through, and that's going to cinch up the waist area. This is our seam allowance that we just created, stitching our bodice to our skirt. So all we're doing is stitching again this seam allowance part. All you need to do is 1/4 inch from the raw edge of the seam allowance, you're going to do another set of stitches. So you're just stitching the seam allowance edges together and you're going all the way around. You need to make sure that you stay very accurate, because if you don't stay 1/4 inch and you kind of drift a little bit closer to here, then your elastic is going to end up not being able to fit through your casing. So here's my elastic. I want to make sure we have a very narrow window that we can make a mistake. So just stay 1/4 inch all the way around. Now the thing is, we have to leave an opening so we can fit our elastic in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a couple of straight pins. I'm going to form an X. And then from here we'll go maybe an inch or so away, an inch and a half away, and then I'm going to do another set of X's, or 1 X with my pins. So what this is telling me is maybe I'll start here, I'll back stitch, and you're just doing a regular straight stitch, and I'll stitch all the way around the whole thing, and then when I get to this other X, I'm going to stop and do a back stitch. So between the X's, I'm keeping them open, so then I have a hole to put my elastic through and fit into my casing. Step 20, cut 1 piece of elastic the length of the guide for elastic transfer markings. Pattern piece number 9 is our elastic guide. So all they want you to do is you're going to cut a piece of elastic that is the full length of your pattern piece for piece number 9 here. Now if you look at the end of your pattern piece on this side and on the other side, you'll notice a circle right in the middle. You just need to use your fabric marker and make sure that you transfer those marks to your elastic. Step 21, insert elastic through opening in casing, lap ends matching small circles, hold with safety pin, try on and adjust if necessary, stitch ends of elastic securely. On one end of my elastic, I'm putting a safety pin, so that's going to help me guide it through my casing here in the seam allowance. So we have our opening. I'm just going to put the side with the safety pin in the opening and into my casing. And all I'm doing is I'm holding my safety pin with one hand, I'm gathering the fabric with the other one, and then I'm pulling it through. So I'm going to pull this elastic through the whole waistline. And then I'm just going to make sure that I don't accidentally pull the end through here as well, because I want to keep this end on the outside, and when I get through to the other side, the two ends are going to meet. After you put the elastic through the casing, you're going to take the two ends, and we have these two marks, and you're going to overlap the elastic until your two marks meet. And then if you want, you could go ahead and put a safety pin and hold it and try on the dress and see if you need to make the elastic tighter, or if you need to make it longer, you'll probably have to cut a new piece of elastic. But once you have the size that you want, go ahead and stick a couple of pins, and you're just going to stitch across the ends of elastic. I would do it twice. I would do here, and then I would do it on the other side of the dot. So I would just go back and forth a couple of times, because we really want to make sure the elastic is going to stay secure together, and then we'll be able to finish up our casing. Step 22. Stitch opening a casing, stretching elastic while stitching. Turn seam towards skirt. Make sure that you take your waistline of your dress and you stretch it so that all of your elastic ends up inside the casing. You don't have anything sticking out. And then you're going to take this area where you have your opening, go ahead and put a couple of pins in there, and you're going to stretch it and just stitch from one side to the other side. So then our casing is now closed. Then you're going to take all your seam allowance and you're going to press it so it's going down towards the skirt. Step 23, make 5/8 of an inch narrow hem at lower edge as shown. This is our very last step. All we need to do is do a hem at the bottom of the skirt portion. So all they want you to do is something similar to what we did before. You're taking the lower edge, and I'm looking at the inside of my dress, and I'm bringing it up 5/8 of an inch. And you're going to put pins in, and then when you finish, you're going to press it. So you end up getting a nice crease here. And because I have my basting stitch line at the 5/8 mark, I don't even need to use a sewing gauge. Just make sure that stitching line or the basting line is right on that fold line. And I've actually already started doing this, so I'll show you what to do after, just as a reminder. So after you press it, let's just move it over to here. You're then going to just remove one pin at a time, take this raw edge, and you're going to fold it down to your crease line of the fold down here. So it ends up being half the size. Then you're going to repin it, and you're going to stitch right on that top fold line there, and that is going to complete your hem. Let's go ahead and take a look at the completed dress. It came out really cute, and you can see how easy it was to create. Don't forget that if you have any basting stitches or fabric markers, to remove them from the finished dress. This has been McCall's 6754. If you make this dress, we'd love to see it, so don't forget to send us a picture. Make sure to check out our other videos and visit ProfessorPincushion.com to view our complete library with well over 150 sewing video tutorials. New tutorials are released regularly, so make sure to subscribe to be notified of the next release.